Tokozani, 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 Tokoza. This is Gogo uMkhanya, and you are here with me live, Vusela with Gogo uMkhanya. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking the time to view this video. I am responding to some questions that have been sent to me in my inbox on Instagram, and I'm taking this opportunity to respond to them and to share whatever wisdom that Spirit has to give. This is Miss Buttafly Speaks, and I am Gogo uMkhanya. And so we are here to awaken the ancestral spirit within you, and we are going to do that today by answering some questions. And today's question from Monel underscore Angelis underscore Far. She asked me a very simple question, but it's a very rich question. Is marriage supposed to be? Are we supposed to get married? Um, the idea of supposed to is highly subjective. Before we even get into whether or not marriage is supposed to be, the idea of supposed to, is something that I don't particularly subscribe to because you know we can talk about what a person is supposed to do or supposed to not do, um, but those things exist in the realm of possibility, in the realm of imagination, in the future, because all we really have is what a person does or does not do rather than what they are supposed to do. And supposed to do also speaks to expectations, and we know that expectation is, in fact, the source of all suffering, attachment and an expectation, um, wanting something to have a particular outcome so much so that we begin to attach emotional energy to that outcome instead of letting a thing flourish and be what it is. You know, that that also speaks to the idea of supposed to. So there's that. But to answer the question of do I believe in the institution of marriage as it is set forth in Western society with marriage certificates and getting the state involved and taxes, I would have to say that my answer right now leans more toward no, unless there are major assets involved. I don't believe that people who don't have a certain amount of assets or they're not at a certain financial status should get married, because marriage is more than love. Marriage is more than two people who love each other. That idea that all it takes is two people who love each other to stay together is statistically untrue. It is emphatically untrue. Love does not keep two people together. It just doesn't. Hard work, compassion, understanding, trust, honesty, vulnerability, compromise, reciprocity, these are the things that keep two people together, or three people, or however many people are involved in the marriage. So, A, no, I don't believe in the legal institution of marriage, and no, I guess, and B, no, I don't believe that marriage is simply between a man and a woman. I believe that marriage is between two people, or like I said, more, who believe in the common goal that they have set to come together to build a family, to build a business, something that they are building together, where two people, it's a partnership. It's a partnership, and so if that partnership has two people or three people, if it's a polygamous marriage or a polyandrous marriage or a monogamous marriage or a same-sex marriage or whatever that case is, I believe that marriage is when two people make a covenant to one another, and they, like I said, have a common goal, a common vision. They have shared core principles. It's more than two people who like the color blue or who like jazz or who believe the same thing. It is two people who and I just keep saying two people because that's just kind of the common thing, but I really do believe that marriage can be whatever the people involved want it to be. But it is between people who see a common need and see how what they each bring to the table can build what it is that they're trying to build together as a unit. So in that way, yes, I do believe in marriage. I believe in soul marriage. I believe that we come here with soul contracts, and that the people that we meet along the way are people we are contracted to meet, that we have agreed to meet and to love. And the person with whom we settle down with, or the persons with whom we settle down, I believe that these are people who have been designed for us. Um, and you can settle down in different phases of your life. And so that person that you're with becomes that mirror that reflects you back to you at the stage of life that you're in. So it's almost like the more work you do on yourself, the more you get into your self-healing, your self-love, your spirituality, developing yourself as an individual and as a being, as a whole being, then the more your person who is for you, or persons who are for you, they also begin to evolve, and it becomes kind of this kind of symbiotic, sympathetic relationship energetically that you have. You might not even know that this other person is getting ready because you're getting ready, and you come together, and you know this person is not a person that you would have met when you were at this previous stage, because now you've done this work on yourself, and you've gotten yourself to a place of a certain level of awareness, and so you attract that. So I believe that when you grow better, you choose better, your choices become better, the options become better as you grow. And so that's one of the reasons why I think that people should really take their time when they talk about getting married, and making someone their primary life partner, um, which I think is a better way to describe um, what marriage is than husband and wife. Your primary life partner. This is your partner in life, and this is your primary partner, because the way that I see it, of course, and I'm open, but the way that I see it is that you will have other partners, you will have other business partners, you'll have other emotional partners, you may even have other sexual partners, but you have a primary life partner, who is your that's the one that you're committed to building your life with, and building what it is that you all are striving to build. So those are my views on marriage. They are very unconventional. They are very non-traditional. Um, I don't subscribe necessarily to the one man, one woman thing. It can start out that way, but as people grow, I think we need to be able to realize that love is not possession. And just because you love someone or are committed to that person in a committed relationship, it doesn't mean that you own them or that they own you. You are still free to be yourself, and to make your own choices, and if you choose to be with one person exclusively, then that is a wonderful thing. But if you also find yourself drawn to someone else, and you choose to explore that, I believe that that is also acceptable, as long as there is full disclosure, and there's open and honest communication, and everyone is responsible for their own emotions, and everyone is responsible for their own energy, and we're adults. And so that's what marriage is to me. Marriage is more about community. It's more about building the community. It's more about building families, and building your net worth. If you really want to get down to it, marriage is also very much about finances. That's why I said I don't believe that poor people, people who have a certain net worth, financially, you shouldn't get married. Be in love. Do that. Be in love. But try not to have babies, and try not to get married until you got some money, because you want to marry to increase the wealth. That's why you're bridging families. You want to increase the wealth. You don't want to marry into debt. You don't want to marry into, you know, hardship. It's unnecessary. It's not necessary. It doesn't mean that you love somebody any less because you refuse to marry them until you get to a certain place. I think that's admirable, because anything could happen, you know. And I've seen a lot of grieving widows and widowers having to grieve the loss of their spouse and worry about the finances too, because they just didn't have enough of a nest egg. So, I just say, why add to the stress? Be together, like each other, fall into friendship first before you focus on getting married. Be friends. Spend time together. How much time can you spend together not doing anything and still enjoy being around each other? How effectively do you resolve your conflicts? How much does the other person challenge you to grow? How much is the other person growing? How much are you growing? How are you challenging the other person to grow? These are the types of questions that need to be established. What are the boundaries? You know, is everyone comfortable in the relationship? Like before you even talk about marriage, I feel like these are some of the things that you need to talk about. Are you sexually compatible? It's very important. Are you spiritually compatible? Because if you're gifted, if you have a calling, you need somebody that can hold that. You need someone who can hold the weight of your calling, or as we used to say in church, hold the weight of your anointing. You need someone who can do that for you. And sometimes it takes time to discover a person's spiritual capacity. Things have to happen so that you can see and observe how a person can behave in times of spiritual stress, emotional stress. So, these are my views on marriage. That's all I have to say about that. If you have any other questions about this or any other topic, feel free to inbox me, to DM me, any of my social media. I've put my email address down in the description, and we'll go from there. All right. But until next time, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk with you soon. Tokoza.